مازال باقي تلاقيتي مع
اول
ابراهيم.
مره ابراهيم تلاقيت معاه ذاك النهار في الخطه ديال كاع.
في التليفون.
ايوا سيدي مزيان.
صافي يا اخي يوسف.
صافي بخير.
لاباس الحمد لله بخير.
تبارك الله. احنا دابا فينالمون نتمنى احمد كوستا هو يزين موراكو. عنده واحد لا كلاس. He's teaching a class today and he said as soon as he finishes he's gonna join us. سمعتي؟ دونك ان شاء الله we will have a full group ان شاء الله today. So anyway, I will give him maybe another 5 minutes before we start just to make sure. So what do you think? Should we wait 5 minutes or we just start, you know? It's going to be a short session today, just finally everyone meet everyone. And by the way, my friend Yassine, we work together at Inwi in Morocco. He's visiting me today. He's having a coffee.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام.
He's an Arab engineer and he's working right now from France. He's working with Orange, you know. So today we're gonna talk about really image recognition. It's more Hashim and Ibrahim. Basically, they're just gonna talk about. So I just want to show you 3 slides, and you know, basically, I'm gonna give you the floor. You can talk about what you do in Ibrahim and Hashim, okay? Yusuf, maybe that's gonna be your next presentation. It's gonna be you.
Okay.
Okay. So today we're gonna be talking about image recognition, and I just want to show this nice image of Fajr and a camera. And also I want to show that we have basically a GitHub, and we're going to be putting all documentations and codes in this basically link, and I have it right here. If I can get it into it, 1 second. So there is a GitHub link here, okay? You can add your codes, you share with everyone, we can discuss them. So use this link basically to you know, to share your code. And I'm gonna put my code also. Remember that code I'm working on? And this is gonna be our kind of share point where we can exchange documents and things like that in the future. So whoever wanna start talking, and Ibrahim, Hashim, it's you know, you got the.
Okay, I'm just trying to find out. How do you share again? Share no caption. Present.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. One more, I want to show you, share this with you. This is the sensor I'm using. This is a spectrometer. I'm using to basically capture the light coming from the sun. And my last test that I did, and I think I shared that with you, in that high-rise building, I was not able to detect lights. I was able to detect light from the sun earlier because I was on the street level, and lights coming from post lamps and city lights. Basically, it was giving me a wrong reading. So I have to look for another sensor. This is not sensitive enough, okay? If I want to capture any light in a high-rise building coming from the sun, I have to wait like at least 30 minutes. So the Fajr is already passed, okay? So that's something that, you know, I just want to let you know. So this sensor, it is very powerful, but it's not strong enough to capture Fajr for us, okay? Anyway, so just want to let you know.
So you're looking for another brand?
Yeah, I didn't start looking for another brand, but I will look for, I'm going to send an email and talk to the same company, see if they have a better way of more sensitive sensors, or if there is any way we can amplify the light signal coming from the sun before it hits this aperture, okay? So, yeah. Anyway, but it's not a problem, and just so the last test was good, in fact, that we need to do measurements outside the lights coming from the city. the street and hotels and things like that. So, but it's just a small challenge. It's not, it's not a problem. Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Simjid. All right, so I think the part we're going to be working on, see Hashim and I, is the machine learning part. And I think the critical thing for machine learning is data, right? So I think the challenge has been for the past few weeks to find a way to capture images of sunrise, right, in Fajr. So I've looked at a lot of webcams, and I landed on this page. Can you see my screen right away?
Yes, we can.
So, so bottom line, I landed on this weather bug website. I've looked at YouTube live cams. I've looked at a lot of other websites that offer free access to webcams. But this one in particular, you actually get a map of the locations of all the webcams, and you can select different webcams. I've actually went through tens of them and landed on a couple that I thought were particularly good because they're based in East. And I picked those. I've actually, I tried, by the way, Yusuf, I tried your the application you put together, and it's really useful. The only challenge I found with that is actually keeping the screen and capturing the screen every time. And that would eventually, if we need thousands of pictures, it'll take us a long time to capture pictures. Go ahead.
Ibrahim, I think there is an echo. I recommend everyone to mute himself, including me, and let only Ibrahim talk. Appreciate that. Just try to mute yourself, unless if you are not talking. Yeah.
Just, I guess, interrupt me if you have any questions or anything. But so I guess the challenge was to use the application to capture data every morning, and with this rate, it'll take us months before we can capture thousands of pictures that we eventually need for the machine learning part. So what I did is, this actually shows a time lapse. So this is just an example. This is the camera in Tyson's. This is just in my neighborhood. Well, today it looks cloudy, right? But it takes a picture every 5 minutes, and you can see the time lapse. So I kind of went and checked how often they upload this information and for how long. And it turned out that they have, they keep information for about a month, and they capture a photo every 5 minutes. And since that's the case, 5 minutes for a month, and then you have multiple cameras, it should be fairly quick to get the data we need. So I wrote a small script in Python to go and get the pictures from this website, and I dumped them here in this folder. So just to show you an example, I actually got 4 cameras. This is the one in Tyson's, and I'm just gonna play it. And I captured from 3 a.m. I captured it and I labeled it with the date and time. This way we can have it as a reference, so we can go back and figure out when the Fajr time was at that specific location at that specific time and date. So I'm just gonna forward it so you can see how things change. So you can see now Fajr or sunrise starting. This was around 6:24. Fajr is probably way before that, but it's hard to see it here. So I'll just forward it. You can see the sun. This day in particular was cloudy. And since I captured multiple days, I labeled it by date and time. So I captured from 4:16 all the way to whatever that date was, 5/10 last week. So I'll just play it so you can have an idea. There we go. This is just going back. This is around 5:19. Sunrise, and the next day, 4:18. Sunrise, 4:19. Again, and so forth. Right. Then there are other cameras I used. One of them is actually by the beach. This is in Florida. This one doesn't have too many. This typically, if you take photos by the beach in the morning, it's cloudy. But I took some days that have. Let's see. There we go. Actually going backwards. But bottom line, that's the idea, is just to kind of go and pick the cameras that will help us the most. Save those photos. Any questions?
Yeah, I think this is really a good job, Ibrahim. I think you mentioned that you before, did you look at Yusuf's code, or because I see that you
I
made.
did.
Okay, and then you made your own code, Python, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the code that Yusuf shared is excellent. The only challenge I found using that code is having to find the right camera first, and then capture photos every morning. Right? At that rate, it'll take us a long time to do that, at least at this stage. Eventually, we can still use that code, when we're at the later phase. But at this time, if you want to capture thousands of pictures, you need to find a way to do it quickly. And
Yeah.
this is the only way I found.
Yes.
This is another example, by the way. This is another camera this is, I think, in Maryland. So again, I just did a loop and started dumping the pictures that are already on their server.
Yeah, beautiful images, Brian. Yeah, I just want to mention. Yeah, I just want to mention one thing. It's good that because for the initial kind of model and statistics and data that you're collecting, you need something quick. But what Yusuf is doing is very important, because in the future, we're going to be using not webcam from the world. We're going to be using our own nodes. So the interface that Yusuf is working on is the one that we're going to be using in the future. This is just to get your model tuned and getting that images. That's great, okay? But Yusuf, you can work with Yusuf at the same time, I remember Yusuf, this is going to be your next presentation, maybe in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Basically, think about what you're doing. That yes, you're going to be using one of the webcams, IP address, but at the same time, in the future, you're going to replace that with our node with specific IP address. Okay.
عندي واحد السؤال سي ابراهيم.
Yeah.
The question دابا هادو سكرين شوتس اور كتكونيكتا الاي بي كاميرا و ديريكتومون.
I guess luckily this website it actually has. Let me just go to it so I can show you what I found. Initially, I thought this was a video, but it turned out that this is actually they're a bunch of photos together. So what they do is they take a photo every 5 minutes, or at least they save the photo every 5 minutes. And the way I found this is, I just did copy image address, right? And I went and did this, and then I looked at this photo. I'm like, okay, well, there's a date, there's a time, and it looks like a big picture every 5 minutes. So let's forward this 5 minutes, or look at the different dates. So for example, I changed this date to 13, right? And I changed this date to 13, and it looks like that's the way they capture these photos, and that's the way they save them. I couldn't go to directly to see where they are saved, but that's the format they follow. So So the script I wrote is basically looping around these dates and time, right? Taking this specific, because some cameras they shift it 5 minutes, but starting at say 0 and then 5 and 0 again.
Okay.
But some cameras they start at 1 and then 6 and so forth. So I had to figure out what the time,
So,
and then I just wrote a loop here. It basically points to that site, right? The path, and then it changes. It basically changes these dates, right? And then loops for a specific period of time. And then the camera has a name here. So for example, for Titus, it has this. For another camera, it has another name. So the code easily goes, and I enter the camera name here, right? And basically it's a quick script, and it just loops and starts saving in the directory.
okay.
So yeah, that's actually that was lucky to find, because otherwise it would have been a lot harder. So
Best is to have the real IP address that's of the IP camera, so we can take the image directly from the camera.
yeah, absolutely. If eventually at this stage we need something that's already available, right?
Yeah.
The alternative would be to capture images every morning for hundreds of days, and that will really take us a long time.
Yeah.
Eventually, when this is at model building stage, we do it this way. But once the model is ready, and we can connect to a webcam IP and then capture the images from there, and then run it through the model and see whether it's Fajr or not. The challenge I want to mention here is, personally, I don't know when the Fajr. I'm looking at the photos and I don't know what the Fajr is. So you need to start there.
Yeah, go to one of your clear kind of sunrise. When I say the sunrise, it doesn't mean the sunrise, the actual sunrise, but the sun going up, okay, on the horizon. So go to one of your clear images, and I can tell you where exactly. I talked to many imams in Morocco, here in, and that's something that I want to share with you also. Just 2 days ago, when I talked to one of these imams, and I showed him the two videos. Remember, I shared with you two videos, and he was like telling me the C and C. So there's video 1 C and video 2 C. Let me go to your clips, and I can tell you exactly where Fajr is, inshallah.
Let me grab this. Is
go when it's dark, and then when I say stop, stop.
So this is dark. Now this is in Crystal City.
Okay.
You can see the monuments from here, and this towards the right here is the east. This is where the sunrise is. So the sunrise is not right in the middle, but you can see here the time, 5:28 a.m. And I know Fajr in this area is way before that.
Yeah, you say this is Crystal City 5:28.
Yeah, and this is on 417. This is on 417. Let me see the later dates.
Oh, 4. Okay.
Sorry, let me grab them. Let me go back to this one. Let me go to 510 maybe 509. Okay. So the problem with this camera, it's not that clear. At night you can see it pixelated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's too much light coming from the city. That's another,
Yeah, it's another challenge.
Yeah,
For this specific camera, let me see if I can find another one here. Let's go to this.
I think you showed one before. It was like really clear,
This one here, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's go to the 4th, 3rd. Fajr is around 4:30, right, Simji?
It's 4:34.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
again 418. Sorry.
Yeah. The Fajr, the one that's basically using astronomy and applications, but actual Fajr based on measurement from rest and high rise, it happened at 4:50, exactly at 4:50. And if you find one clean clip, I can show you exactly what Fajr looked like.
Okay, so this is somewhat clean, and this is again the same camera in Crystal City.
Okay.
This time it's a little bit oriented more towards the right, so you can see Capitol building here.
Yes.
This is 3:58 a.m. on 5/9. Right, you can see already some lights on the horizon. Now, if I move forward, this is 4:28. You can see, I don't know if this is visible to you guys, but this is 4:43.
Keep going.
Okay, now you can start seeing some light. There, this is 5:03. This is past Fajr.
Yeah, just a little bit past, let me share. I have to find it first.
This is sunrise.
Yeah, this is way past. Can you go before, earlier? Keep going. No. I think I've seen one that it was like really clear.
Okay, let me look. So maybe we look at another camera. There was one in Florida, but this doesn't have too many. Let's see. Yeah, this camera is again by the beach. The day that this was captured, it's rare where you don't see clouds. But the fact that there's no light pollution around is good. But the quality of the photo itself is not the best, at least when it's dark.
So Ibrahim, can you go back to the?
Another day.
Yeah. Can you go back to that image? I just want to mention something.
There.
Yeah, can you go back a couple? Yes, stop here. So I think when you start developing the model with Hashim, okay, what really we should start looking for is this readiness that goes horizontally like this, okay? So I don't know how you're gonna be looking for this based on color pixels or so as long as you have some kind of readiness that's spread through the horizon and the bottom is dark and top is lighter, that is the model of a Fajr. That is as soon as it's become clear, because وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ, so when we have this readiness cross on the horizon, not going on top from bottom to top like from Fajr Kadib, as soon as we say this is it, that is the pattern we're looking for, okay? So once the model is sure that the readiness cross from east to west, not just like in a couple spots, this is how we should recognize the Fajr.
Right. It's unfortunately it's not always this perfect. As a matter of fact, most of the time it's not this perfect. You can see it from the other cameras, even with the month worth of data. Let me see, because the problem is this does not align with Fajr time locally. So this camera is, for example, this is local camera. This was in Maryland.
Yeah. So yeah.
This is 5:25. It's completely dark in the horizon. Okay. And yet it's past Fajr, but it's still completely dark.
Yeah. So Hisham, Ibrahim, we can't solve all the problems in one. So I think what we can do first is develop the model that we can tell us this is the pattern for Fajr, okay? Without looking at the time when currently we know the Fajr is, okay? So we don't want to worry about what is Fajr now because we know it's wrong, okay? So we worry about developing that pattern to recognize Al-Fajr. That is the most important thing. Develop the pattern. we only look for a clear pictures or images of a Fajr. We are so sure that the sky is clear. Let's just make sure that we know what Fajr is first, okay? And then, as I mentioned before, we are not just going to be using one algorithm. We're going to be using three algorithms. One of them,
Right.
yeah, is the pattern or image recognition, okay? The second one is light detection and correlation, and the third one is the position of the sun vis-a-vis the horizon. So,
Right, but they have to be at least close to each other, right? If you want to do this in bulk, if we're dealing with thousands of pictures, there's no way for us to go through each one and say, okay, let's go forward, let's go back, this is Fajr, right? And if at this point it seems like it's not even aligning with what the astronomical, timing for Fajr is. So if it's not even aligning, it's not even close. How can we start? Is it time to go and label? Because eventually what we need to do is take thousands of pictures and put them in folders and say, this is testing, this is training, for example. And we have to say, this is Fajr folder, this is not Fajr folder, meaning we need to label each photo whether it's Fajr or not. And if we're way off, then obviously there is a problem. You're gonna start training the model wrong information. So garbage in, garbage out. It's you know what I mean? Like let's say we take hundreds of pictures like this, right, and say this is Fajr, where in fact this is not really Fajr based on the time.
yeah, we don't wanna use confusion. It's like skewing data. We want to take pictures or clips of Fajr that is clearly it's Fajr, okay? And then once we create the model, I guess there's an echo. Is everyone muted? Yeah. Then once we know that this is the Fajr exactly, then we start actually making it and optimize it and making it better, okay? We shouldn't worry at all about what's the time. Are we past Fajr or not Fajr? Let's just create the model, Ibrahim and Hashim. Let's just worry about the model. Okay, so we need to know exactly what the definition of al-Fajr. What is al-Fajr? Okay? And as I said, I'm going to look for the video I shared with you. Or if you have it handy, I can show you exactly what al-Fajr is. So we're going to be based on that image. When it happens, that is Fajr. So really based on pattern of this readiness cross east and west, okay? That is the Fajr, and then we fine tune the model later on.
Yeah, you don't get that perfect of a picture very often. So if we want to have a reliable model, we should have something that takes into account even cloudy days or days where you don't really clearly see the red lights, from left to right or whatever. So, but I think at this stage, what we can do, the good news is that we have the source.
Yeah.
And again, I haven't really looked at all the cameras and all that, but from what I can tell, this is a good source. This is a quicker way of collecting the data. So maybe what we can do is I can dump all these photos somewhere in GitHub or something, and then we can collectively make split that data into what's Fajr and what's not. So I just want to show you an example of a model. I've been researching models also, by the way. I ran a test on one model. It's called the Inception model. See, Hashim, I don't know if you've heard of it before. This is also TensorFlow. This model in particular was somewhat highly rated in terms of accuracy. And so this test was run using basically some photos, just hundreds of photos, not thousands. Basically to identify the sunrise. So I have, for example, sunrise. This is sunrise. That has nothing to do with Fajr, by the way. But this is just just to see how the model is working, right? So I took there are a bunch of photos of sunrise. There are other photos of other photos basically. It's not sunrise, right? And then I took this and kind of split the data, blah blah blah, all this coding, and then you take the model, you actually take the last part of it, and then you make it trainable, right? So I've changed some parameters and trained it, and then got to basically, let me just go towards the bottom, got basically close to a 95, 96%, and I didn't run it for too long, just 15 iterations. It got to a high accuracy rate, and it could be higher if I ran it longer, and ran it on the test set. And you can see here, this is what's called a confusion matrix. Basically, it tells you out of all the photos that you have on the test set, how many were true labels. Basically, this tells me that 59 of the sunrise were actually labeled correctly sunrise, and 5 of the actual sunrise were not labeled sunrise. Then, yeah, the other way around, where it's not sunrise, it always tells me it's not sunrise. This is one way to test the model to see how accurate it is, right? And then towards the end, you can see here some examples where it's how it's labeling things. So for this example, it actual was sunrise, which is a 1, and predicted was a 1. So this was accurate. This was not accurate because it's actual 0, it predicted 1. This was accurate, and so forth. But overall, these are just examples, right? To kind of see what the model output is. So similarly, I'm thinking whether we use this model in particular. And again, I researched other models. This one seems to be one of the best. Maybe Sihash may have more information, because I'm sure he's a lot more knowledgeable than myself on this. And then we can test the other model if need.
Okay. Yeah, the question for the data is we need to have the labels for each image. Yeah, that's the first challenge, is to have an accurate label.
Yeah.
The only thing we have from Quran is that verse. It says, حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر. But at least for me, it's not like very clear, what is the definition of the fajr. Because I mean, the scholars and most of the organization, they accept the astronomical determination as the correct one. Now, if we develop this model, we need the ground truth. Who can tell us accurately where is the fajr? If we rely on the Islamic organizations, then we have to use the schedule that they provide, which is based on the astronomical calculation. We can use that as the ground truth.
Very good point.
Yeah. Or do we want to have ourselves as the ground truth? That we just as visually looking at the images and making that determination. This is Fajr, this is not Fajr. But I think first step is we need to have labels for each image, accurate labels for each image.
I totally agree. Yeah, that's the big challenge. And personally, we can go through what Majid said and, say this is Fajr, this is not, we're not by any means, we're not experts here for Fajr. But from the surface of it, it looks like it's a way off. So we need to settle that first. If everybody is following astronomical, measurements to say this is Fajr and it's at 4:30, and when we look at the photos, it's showing 5:30. That's a big gap. To me, that's something we need to discuss, I guess. And labeling, yes, absolutely. We need to label all the photos, and going through each one, and we need thousands of them, and then deciding each one and labeling it accordingly is definitely time consuming. So that's to me that's a challenge, something that needs to be discussed. And in the meantime, we can certainly just start running with this, right? Just just to have some rough draft and see how that works. But yeah, I mean, if we want to get this correct, uh, we need, like I said, we need the correct labeling.
And can I share something?
Yeah, please.
I probably guess stop sharing. The the Fajr time is wrong. A lot of imams, a lot of actually scholars, do you know that the time they use for Fajr is not correct, okay? So that's why between Fajr Adhan and Iqamah they put like 20 minutes to do the prayer, okay, to correct that time. So if I just mentioned is in the blog somewhere down here, we use astronomy, and based on the position of the sun to the horizon, there are so many method of calculation of Fajr. There are at least 12 that I know. Isna, Qura, and they go from minus 12 degree to 20 degrees, okay? So some location they use minus 10, minus 12 degrees, some location they use 20 degrees. And you can be sitting with your wife, for example, daughter or family member, and even if you have the same application, if you use different method of calculation, your time of a Fajr will be different, okay? So what we're doing, we are developing really the expertise now, okay, on Fajr time. And we should be, we should use what we have so far as a reference, okay? But don't rely on that information. Okay, we wanna optimize the current value. Okay, and we should start from Sunnah and Quran. And so basically, if God tells us to pray, when you see that spread of readiness from east to west on the horizon, this is what we should. That's why we're developing this model to predict that pattern. Okay, I'll just give you an example. When you talk about the astronomy and what Islam scholars, they are based on this, and they are based on this information. So with the what they call the twilights, okay, or dawn, there are three dawns. There's astronomical, nautical, civil, and basically right now we are saying. Even below minus, some methods they're using minus 20 degrees, okay? While, what we're seeing, the Fajr is between nautical and astronomical, like around minus 16 degrees. We are not gonna completely not use position of the sun to the horizon. We're definitely gonna use it, but after statistics and comparing by looking at Fajr, by knowing what Fajr is, what time it happened, and there is a lookup table where you can see actually where the sun is, okay? So we will develop our own statistics and theory about Fajr. And I think the project we're doing, it's gonna be used worldwide, where it's not gonna be walk on the, the beach, or, it's easy, we're gonna have to do a lot of work. We're going to train models, like the model that you're showing for the sunrise. It's great start, Ibrahim. But the model we should be using, it's really that spread of readiness, as I mentioned, okay? We can fine tune it later on, but at least that is the pattern we're looking for. And as you mentioned, Ibrahim, when it's cloudy, we are not going to be using pattern or image recognition. We're going to be using spectrometry, okay? And then if that fails also, then we go back and look what happened last year, or what is the position of the sun in each geographical location. So all these algorithms will be used to determine that Fajr time. Right now it's just astronomy, and I can tell you astronomy is wrong, okay? We're not using the correct position of Fajr to determine Fajr.
So as far as you know, Simjid, so yeah, everybody's using the negative 15.5 whatever degrees to your knowledge, I guess from what you saw in the morning around Fajr, should it be closer to -10? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Or -6?
yeah,
Or
I think based on initial so far our research, it's -16. Okay, that is really close to what we see, because when I determine, let's say for example, it happened at this website, and I shared that with you. The Fajr happened in my eyes, and I shared that video with you in that high-rise building. It happened exactly at 4:50. If you go back and I mentioned it, that is the Fajr. And I talk to imams, they tell me, yes, this is the Fajr time, okay? So we can go backwards and say, okay, 4:50 in Reston, the sun was at what? It's easy lookup, I can tell you. Probably like -16, okay? But then we shouldn't rely on only one location. We will be measuring, like I went to Morocco, did some measurements. We measure here in DC. We might probably someone go somewhere else. We can ask also. There are cameras. You see the cameras that we have right now, and we can determine for that timing where that redness starts spreading across the horizon, and then we do reverse thing, and then we say, okay, what is the sun elevation at this time? So we start developing some ideas. Okay.
well, if they came up with like 16 or whatever it is, right? That they all agreed to use. They came up with it for good reason, right?
No. They didn't come up with any value. There are 12 methods, okay? Each method uses a different value from neg 12 to neg 20. You see what I'm saying? They didn't.
Right.
So there is Qura, there is Isna, there's so many I can't remember. You know, if you go and use your Islam Pro, for example, extend the call. Okay. Back to you. You know, it's asking me if I should extend the call. Anyway, hopefully we don't get interrupted. So I think there is no exact value, Ibrahim, to answer me.
Right.
There are so many methods. There are just so many methods, okay?
Right. So, at least from what we see, right, the photos we're capturing right now, if they're around 5:30, you would think that, you know, if neg 16 is at 4:30, I would assume at 5:30 it would be closer to 0, right?
No, Ibrahim, I think you're using the cameras that is webcam, okay, not clear. So probably Fajr happened earlier than that, okay? So that's why when we use our own camera, okay? When I use the camera up in the rise, it was like at 4:50 exactly, and we prayed at 5, you know. So we were like, it was like almost perfect.
close.
Yeah, pretty close.
Okay.
And I'm like really
So
so
maybe-
happy, you know. So yeah.
Okay. So maybe in terms of data to be used for to train the model, I think that's something we need to take a closer look at,
No, I think
or something, because we can't. I can't go and select and label all these pictures, and the label will be around that 5:30 time frame, and it's wrong, right?
No, no,
It's-
no. It's think about it like this. Don't worry about the time. Let's worry about the pattern. Okay, the pattern is the most important thing. Okay, when that, as soon as, you know, we have an algorithm that's looking at let's say every 5 minutes, an image. When I see basically that spreaders start going across the horizon, stop. This is Fajr time. Okay. So let's not worry about the time now, because in the future we're gonna have our own nodes, okay? Our own cameras pulling data. It's gonna be better resolution, you know. So let's not worry about the time, because it's the project we're just starting, okay? So if we get stuck in this way, we're off. We are not gonna. Let's find the pattern first, train the model, and then we start fine tuning things in the future. What do you think, Brian? Hashim?
Yeah, the pattern from a machine learning perspective is also going to be challenging because of the clouds. Because the clouds, they're going to affect how these lines are going to show up. It's not going to always be a line. If you have clouds that are in different shapes, the light is going to appear, the sun is going to be behind the clouds, it's going to appear different.
Yeah, Hashim, I mentioned,
Yeah.
when it's cloudy, we are not using pattern recognition, okay? We're only using pattern or image recognition when it's clear, okay? When it's cloudy, we're gonna be using, there are three algorithms. There is pattern or image recognition, and there is spectrometry that we are using, the light detection, okay? It doesn't matter if it's rainy, cloudy, we don't have to even see the sun. It's the correlation of the different wavelengths, how they behave that specific time of Fajr. And then there is the astronomy also algorithm that we're gonna be using. So based on these three algorithms, we're gonna come up with a time. So for now, just worry when it's clear and a good pattern of Fajr, okay? Don't worry when it's cloudy yet, Hashim.
Okay. Another thing I think that would be helpful is if we find some reliable interpretation from scholars and experts who looked at this issue. Because I'm sure like this organization who use the astronomical calculations, they had to involve scientists, scholars, experts to interpret that verse. Because for me it's not clear. Khat al-Abyad, what is meant by Khat al-Abyad, what is meant by Khat al-Aswad, what is meant by Min al-Fajr. And that verse also refers to Siyam, not necessarily to Salat. What do scholars say about this? You know, we just want to start. I mean, we can do like what you mentioned. Just look at it as a pattern recognition problem based on our own interpretation of what the lines escape. Because we cannot train a model without labels. So we need to have labels for each image.
Okay. Yeah, and this project, I'm not gonna say we're gonna finish it in a month or two. You know, it may take a year or two. Okay. We should be ready. I'm already starting conversation with scholars from Morocco, like Abdul Wahid Wajih, very known. Okay. Other scholar, I forgot the name. I'm sending email and exchanging. Here in the US, the Adam Center, all the imams are working with me on this. Okay. So, as I said, we will be fine-tuning our project as we go, inshallah. And it's good to start somewhere, and it's good to tell the world that we have a way. Someone is using, can you please unmute yourself? Sorry. It's good to tell the Islamic world that there is a way using Sunnah and Quran, we can determine Fajr. Okay. This project is gonna have more popularity in the future. We should just start showing some work, and then more we do, more we optimize in the future, more we fine-tune our work. We're not gonna get it from the get-go, okay? So, but it's a very good start. I really appreciate and I'm sure we're more thinking about jaza. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For me, this is my hobby now. I stopped painting, biking. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Okay, and I can tell you guys, I'm not here to make money, or we're not here to make money from this. But I can tell once we develop the system, and once we start making those nodes, I'm sorry, there is money there. I mean, hey, how we gonna have these projects developed for 1.5 million? We have to create nodes everywhere. Who's gonna make them? It's us. So think about it as amal khairi, but at the same time, it's gonna benefit not just us, everyone. في الآخرة وفي الدنيا. You know what I mean? So there is a lot. This is really something that it's gonna be great. Just give it more time, and there is no deadline, guys. I know you're all busy. I'm busy myself. Like last maybe month, I didn't do that much, except that visit to the Skyrise building. But hey, when you have time, put some time there, and I'm sure it's gonna be rewarded في الآخرة إن شاء الله, and hopefully here too. Okay.
Okay, yes. So I guess next step we can just come up with some labels. I don't know, maybe Brahim and I can label them, or should we get like some expert? I think you have one person from Al Masjid to label,
Yeah.
or should we
Yeah,
just label it ourselves?
and I think we're gonna have a meeting with them soon. Maybe just Brahim and Hashim can come, but we will have Zoom with Yusuf. We're gonna meet with all the 5 imams, okay? They have been, and trust me, I don't wanna, not a lot of imams know about exact Fajr because it's kind of vague. So we are kind of uniting all Ummah Islamiyah to give us, that's why I said that I made that video to vote what is Fajr, okay? So we're gonna have a crowd computing and averaging to come up with that value, okay? And so this is very, how you say, it's unique what we're doing now. And hopefully it's not just gonna be our opinion from religion scholars, from Muslim people all over the world. We're gonna come up with that value. So I think it's good. We're doing a good job.
Yeah, the other thing, Ibrahim, is this is actually not a like a binary classification problem. It's not this is Fajr versus non-Fajr, because really what we're looking for is the transition. Is a transition from a non-Fajr to Fajr. Because if people label, this is Fajr, this is not Fajr. For example, if it's 10 minutes after the Fajr, they're going to label it as Fajr.
I'm sorry, I have
But
to.
in our case, that's not true, because what we're looking for is when does the transition happen.
Hashim,
That's what we're looking for.
Hashim, I just got a message. The call is gonna end.